What a joy to share with Aaron. Aaron, Mazel Tov. That was wonderful. What a joy to share that with you. And what a way to begin Vayikra. You know, we have on our wall this statement, Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha bo lefanav bernana. Psalm 100, verse 2. Serve God with rejoicing. Come before God in celebration. And the word Ivdu, serve, is understood by the rabbis to mean more specifically, this is part of the learning curve too, keeping my talit on. The rabbis understood la'avod as literally the word that was used for service of the priest. That this priest, in coming forward in the community, should do so with a quality of joyfulness to ignite the joy of others. When the people would come to the temple, which was the next phase, there was a sense of community gathering. You couldn't do it alone. To bring an offering, and that's what Aaron read about in the Torah reading, to bring a gift to God, you needed others. You needed the priest. You needed the Levite. And when you came as a pilgrim in Jerusalem, when the temple existed, you also needed song. The Levites were a chorus. They had musical instruments as well. And they greeted pilgrims who brought their offerings with the sounds of celebration. And you can only imagine 2,000 plus years ago when you lived in a very simple structure, going to Jerusalem, and there were 15 steps, each with a psalm identified with it, and you came with your offerings, alighting, and at the top, the choir, celebration. When the temple was destroyed, it was crushing, because that was the place in which people saw each other, in which the priests and the Levites had facilitated a communal expression of serving God. Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, bo lefanav bernana. We all know that it is with others that our mood is enhanced, our emotions are elevated. And at the temple, literally, physically, they rose, aliyah, but also in terms of feeling a closeness to God that came with a closeness to community. In that light, prayer became the way we now serve God. And the rabbis describe prayer as avodat balev, the service of the heart. But there too, to serve God as community, it helps to have song, and it helps to have others. And so, a story. The story of a master of prayer, the Baal Shem Tov, lived in what is now the Ukraine, 1700 to 1760. He, for his disciples, taught how an open heart, how prayer is the vehicle to draw close to God. And as a master of spirit, when he prayed, he did so very purposefully, with great focus. In Hebrew, great kavanah, intentionality, which also meant he prayed, in his case, very slowly. In fact, on Shabbat, when he would pray, it would take sometimes so long that his disciples who had been in the room with him would take a break, knowing he's going to be a little while. They'd go into the next room and they'd have a little l'chaim over some schnapps, a little slivovitz. They'd have a little something to eat. But usually somebody would stay back to be in the presence of this great spirit. But on one particular Shabbat, everybody left the room. Everybody went to the Kiddush, and the Baal Shem Tov was left alone. And when they returned to peek in and see if he was done praying, they saw him sitting on a bench with his head in his hands. And they rushed toward him out of great concern. They said, "Rabbi, are you okay?" He said, I'll be honest, I'm very shaken. They said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Well, I have to explain it to you with a story," which was the way of his teaching. He said, "Once upon a time, there was a man who had a dream, a longing, and that was to draw this beautiful bird close to him. And note, in Jewish mystical teaching, a bird is spirit, it's Shekhinah, it's God's presence. And he said, this man, he sometimes saw the bird, he got glimpses of the bird, but he really longed to take that bird gently in his hands and to look at it and to feel it intimately. And one day, as he was walking, he saw the bird on a low branch. He thought, this is my moment. And there were others in the area, and he said, everybody come quickly, please, quietly. I need you to create a little bit of a pyramid for me. It's a little high for me to reach that branch. Would you come? And they began to form, but it took a while for some people to get there. And so the Baal Shem Tov said, as the man climbed up on the backs of his friends, somebody seemed to have left the group, and the pyramid collapsed, and I came crashing down. And he said to them, so it is. When I pray, I depend on you. You're my community. I can't reach upward to fulfill my yearnings without you. And when, in that moment that the last person left the room who was my link to all of you, I crashed. I could no longer do what I needed to do. I love that story. It's a story about prayer. It's a story about our dependence on each other to be our best, to fulfill our yearnings. And I'm drawn to that story on this Parsha Vayikra, where we learn about how to draw close to God by this moment also as a synagogue community, as a city, as a county, as a country, as a world. We now know more than maybe any time in any of our lives how interconnected we are. How a virus can start in one place and spread, but more, how to fiercely fight that spread requires us being there for each other. You know, it's not being passive when we maintain physical distance, when we stay in our homes in these untrying, inconvenient times. For most of us, I just want to pause to say it's inconvenient. Most of us are blessed to have a home. Most of us are blessed to have food. Most of us are blessed to have technology to reach out, like in this moment. And on Shabbat in particular, we pause to count our blessings, to have perspective about what has changed as we yearn for that normalcy to return. And so on this Shabbat Vayikra, we also are called to pause to remember that not everybody has it as good as we might have it. And this is the opportunity to reach out, as we do as a community. Every month we help with the local church on Sunday supper to serve the homeless. This month we're not going to be serving because of the challenges involved with physical distancing. Please, you will find on our website and in our emails the opportunity to write gift cards for the homeless in our midst, and those will be distributed this month. This is the opportunity to reach out to loved ones and call, to reach out to elderly, family, and friends who you may not normally call. Let this be an opportunity for social cohesion. We have to stay constant. We have to stay in that pyramid of collectivity. And in doing so, we each rise. In doing so, we feel the blessing of community. In doing so, we appreciate the heroes in our midst who take risks for us. This is our chance to rise. This is our chance to fulfill the yearning, to draw out the best in ourselves and the best in those around us. On this Shabbat of Vayikra, we celebrate with Aaron, whose kindness of spirit is a model for all of us. This is the Shabbat in which we begin to focus on how can we grow closer to the source of life and love, and how can we be the vessels for our Creator. Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the universe, we take a deep breath And in doing so, know that every breath we take is a gift from you. May we use our breaths as a source of life and love, enabling us to draw close to each other with gratitude for community. For we are interdependent. We need each other to elevate ourselves. We need each other to stay healthy. We need each other to take care of the weakest in our midst, for they are your children too, and it is our responsibility to care for each created in your image. May we serve you with rejoicing. May we come before you in celebration this day and every day. Amen.